The Bucktails, being wounded. Wounded men face many dangers even before they reach the surgery table. A good example is found in the following excerpt from the Bucktails Antietam trials by William P. Robertson and David Reimer. Jimmy floated in a very cold place where darkness reigned. He was alone there with a terrifying numbness that paralyzed every movement and strangled every recollection. To struggle against the cold was useless. There was no way out of the frozen maze where time stood suspended. Jimmy drifted to a field of light. There air rushed into his lungs. He sputtered and choked and opened his eyes. Stretched out above him was a cloudless sky that shook with thunder. Brain impulses moved his hand, but his legs would not respond. He inspected his blue jacket caked with gore, and glimmers of a dim battle played in his head. When he breathed again, the stench of death violated his nostrils, and he registered a dull ache in his chest. He raised his voice to cry for help, but the sound that emanated from his thirst-wasted throat was like the croak of an old crow. Panic seized Jimmy, but no matter how he struggled, he could not rise. The pain in his chest grew sharper, too, and fever burned on his forehead. Gradually he became aware that others like him littered the field. Voices moaned for their mothers. Voices cried out for their God. Everywhere the anguished voices pleaded for mercy or death. Mingled with the human cries came eager calls of scavenger birds. The terrible cause circled ever closer, and Jimmy spotted a raven that hopped upon a slain neighbor's chest and used its beak to pluck out a putrefied eye. Jimmy gagged, but nothing remained in his stomach to vomit. Instead, he squawked and gibbered and waved his numb, heavy hands till coal-black wings erupted into flight. This exertion so drained Jimmy that he lapsed back into unconsciousness, where shrieks of battle racked his dreams and cannon barrels belched body parts instead of shot and shell. Rebs charged from a dark wood squealing like pigs, and each soldier's head sprouted the tusks of a boar. Their squealing intensified, terrible and real, when they overran the Yankee ranks. A sniffing snout explored Jimmy's leg, and he jerked and convulsed until his eyes popped open. All around him, huge Berkshire boars were feasting on the flesh of dead men, and 600 pounds of hunger had chosen him for its next meal. Jimmy snarled when the black beast sidled forward to taste his skin. Fear did the work of an accomplished surgeon, for the boy's right leg resumed its function, lashing out to kick the brute back. The boar circled to consider its options, its floppy ears signaling a semaphore of menace. Its hooves looked sharp and deadly, and it opened its mouth to reveal man-sized cheek teeth. The boar lowered its head and rushed forward to trample the cringing youth, when 4 soldiers strode boldly toward it and began clubbing the beast with their rifles. The boar dodged through the maze made by the men's legs, slashing with its tusks and squealing with anger. It gored a lanky private in the thigh and spun around to attack a surprised corporal. The boar would have nailed him, too, if a burly sergeant hadn't planted his rifle butt between the brute's eyes with all the force he could muster. For more information about the Bucktail novel series, visit bucktailsandbroomsticks.com.